morning I'm in Mexico because I'm all over the places, and I'm going from place to place to conduct concerts and to bring music to people. And it's not my first visit. I was here many times, and also in Mexico City, in Monterrey. I'm going on Sunday night to Sinaloa, and then I'm going to Puebla. So there is a lot of activity in Mexico. I must say, it's a huge country, but you have a huge, incredible musical tradition and many, many good orchestras. Not only in Mexico City. So I'm thinking the last 15 or 20 years I'm here at least 10 times. Mineria and Orquesta Sinfónica Nacional, I think this is my 5th visit. And Monterrey, and well, I'm here. And I'm exactly like this in Japan and in China and in Germany and in Israel and in other countries in South America. So it's a constant traveling, like somebody who is selling his music to other places. Yeah, there were in the past, especially before the Second World War, many Jewish conductors who came from Europe to the States, especially to bring this European classical music culture. And slowly they educated also people from here, and the people from here, or American people, became also important musicians and conductors. I don't know much about Mexico past conducting history, but I can say that I see the development here and the interest in the classical music, something very important. There's a lot of audience. There's a lot of activity. How much it's connected to Jewish life, I really don't know.
Do you consider yourself Jewish, religious Jewish?
Well, religious is maybe too much, but maybe I can say that traditional and trying to keep at least kosher food and not eating not kosher meats. Yesterday I was in the El Gaucho Grill in Polanco. Every time I'm going there when I'm here, because it's very good. And otherwise you can live from fish and vegetables and so on, which is very healthy. But I'm an Israeli, keeping the tradition and traveling around the world, but my heart and my base and my family are in Israel.
For you, making music is a spiritual endeavor. Do you think that is related to your Jewish heritage?
It's a hard question. The heritage is like a priest, which is going, or rabbi, which is going from place to place and giving his knowledge and his spiritual experiences to other people. And this is actually what I'm doing. It's transcending the music and its message to other people. How much Jewish it is, you can connect it to the words like tikkun olam, like repairing the world, making, or in simple language, like Handel said, to make the people better.
Thinking about Israeli composers, who is your favorite Israeli composer?
It's also hard to say because I'm not so objective, because I studied in Israel with a very important composer in Israel named Sergiu Natra. He came from Romania and he was my composition teacher, and I love his music. But there are a lot of Israeli musical activity. We have in Israel let's say the month in September that all orchestras and chamber music are playing Israeli music. I just did in Paraguay 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. I did a concert for the 70th birthday of Israel, only with Israeli music. And I'm doing a lot of performances. I think I did in my life over 100 Israeli compositions for the first performance. And as I wrote myself music as a composer, I was very attached to these composers themselves and the music. I stopped writing music because there was no time. And above all, there are other people who are doing it better in the past and also in present. It was a program very special. The first piece was a Masonic funeral music by Mozart, which is a very short piece, but I connected this piece to a piece by Richard Strauss, which called Death and Transfiguration. It's a huge orchestra, a big piece. The audience liked it a lot. And the second part, I did the Third Symphony of Brahms, which is the core of the romantic German music. Well, the Holocaust was the black wall of the history of mankind, and even in this period, there were Jewish composers, also in the concentration camps, and Jewish musicians, that they continued to write, to play, and to write music with the hope that it will not be forgotten. I give you an example. I did maybe 25 years ago or even more, a performance of a piece by a composer from Czech composer named Pavel Haas. He wrote this piece in the camp of Theresienstadt, and it was performed there by quite an important conductor at the time in the camp. And the musicians were all Jewish musicians from all around Europe who were deported there. And there is a film that the Nazis did, which calls The Führer baut die Juden eine Stadt. The Führer is erecting the Jews a city, and to show how wonderful it is there. And in this city you can hear the last 3-4 minutes of this piece. So I found the music in Prague, and I performed this composition, which is a 15 minutes composition, for the first time in Jerusalem in the Holocaust Memorial Day. So imagine that the composer who did not survive will never imagine that there will be a state of Israel. He will never imagine that his music will be played in Jerusalem by an Israeli orchestra with an Israeli conductor. I mean, it's a pity he will never know, or maybe he knows spiritually, but it was something like, it's the first time that this piece is played. So the Jewish music of the Holocaust is something like a symbolic of we are still here. Some of it's related to the religious traditional music, mainly Ashkenazi, and some of it's just the music of our time, let's say so. But I will not take this part of the Jewish music of the Holocaust like the core of all the Jewish music. The Jewish music is being destroyed by the Romans. The Romans destroyed everything possible and nothing left. We don't know anything about our music in the time of the Temple of Solomon. We know that there was an orchestra of 120 musicians. And we know that they are describing in the Bible exactly the instruments. But how did they sound? What was the tonal system? What was the music? Nobody knows. There's nothing left. It's maybe a little bit for Mexico if I will ask you about Aztec music. The Spanish destroyed everything. They killed a culture, which is a crime against humanity. And nothing left. You have only the remains of buildings or temples. But about what was the music, and they had music, of course, we don't know. We know about some instruments, the shells and this and so on, but what they were doing with it, nothing. Well, it's the same story with the Jewish music. It's a tragedy. Well, I'm a very welcome guest here, I must say. The people are very, very nice. The orchestras liked me, although I am quite difficult with them. And it's interesting to be here always, because it's a huge country. And nobody imagined that Mexico and Russia are not so far apart in the number of citizens. So it's a huge country with a very... I said it before already, the tradition of the music here is enormous. And you have in the past, if you read the history of the orchestra, Sinfónica Nacional or something, the greatest soloists and conductors were here. Really, it's incredible. And you had a Jewish violinist, which was very important, Henrik Schering, who lived in Mexico. You had conductors like Sergiu Celibidache, who came here very often, and he was even chief conductor here, I believe. So there is a huge tradition, And I know about other Israeli conductors and soloists who are coming also regularly here. So it's an important place. I was also 3 years music director of the Orquesta Filarmónica de Bogotá. So it gave me all the background of Latino America a little bit more. So I can also manage with Spanish. And I think the cultural ministry or cultural organizations in Mexico should make it more clear to the world outside that we are also, although Mexico also have a huge classical music tradition. I think not so many people knows about it. It's a little bit closed and it's not important for them, but it should be important because it's a place that everybody can come and make good music.